Hi, I'm Dr. Ebony Stone, and this is the Black Woman in the Corner Office. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Black Woman in the Corner Office. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Stone, and I am super excited today. I know I say that every time, but I really am excited today. Today's guest, I promise you, you're going to leave here on a high. She is a Brooklyn powerhouse, Brooklyn native, right? She's a powerhouse who has had one of the most interesting career journeys that I'm aware of. She's a mom. She is a divisional vice president. She is a veteran. She's doing all of the things. And so we're going to get into it with her. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Miss Erica Sharp. Hey, Erica, how are you?
Hey, I am amazing, blessed and highly favored, and happy to be here.
Blessed and highly favored. I love it. I love it. All right. So I just gave a tiny bit of who you are, right? I talked about you being a veteran and being from Brooklyn and being a divisional vice president and all the things. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll get into your career journey?
Perfect. So you hit it on the head. I'm a Brooklyn native. So Brooklyn that I named my daughter Brooklyn,
I
my
love it.
15-year-old, close to my heart. I grew up, born and raised in New York, and then moved a little all over. I've been down south, Texas, Omaha, and all that we'll talk about via way of the United States Air Force. Um, I am a Catholic schoolgirl. I went to Bishop Lachlan in Brooklyn, ran track, really just enjoyed doing things, any type of activity, insert activity. I was all up on it. And from there, went to University of South Carolina, lived in South Carolina for a little bit, joined the military. And then that's when my life started just going all over. But love people. Love dancing. When I moved to Detroit, I've been in Michigan for about, I want to say 12 years now. I used to
You
say
got
10
your
at the
fan
time. I don't have, where them fans at? I don't
with
have
it?
one, but I know all the hustles.
Yes.
That is what Michigan has blessed me with. And I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. It's been nice.
Nice, nice. So I'll have to share with you when we're done here. I got probably because I like to dance too, right? I think a 4 or 5 page landscape page spreadsheet with all the hustle classes
Get
broken
out of
out
here.
by day. Listen, I just got it the other day, so I will share it with you.
Thank you.
Um, so I got to get you a fan. So we're gonna get into all of that, but I just want to tell the audience. So you know how different, we'll say different regions of the country, you can kind of tell when people are from different regions of the country. So I remember meeting Erica and feeling like, well, I hear some East Coast, but I'm feeling like down south vibe, kind of. And that's when I found out that you were from Brooklyn, but you spent a lot of time in South Carolina, right?
Yep, Charleston.
Um, Charleston, yes. So very unique background. Tell us how your career journey started, right? Brooklyn born, I think you spent summers in South Carolina. You said you've kind of been all over the place. You're a Catholic schoolgirl, right? How did your career start? Like that's a lot of different pieces to put together.
For sure. It's okay. You ready? Buckle up.
I'm
So,
ready.
initially going out of college, if I go like all the way back into just like some jobs, all I knew is I wanted to make money. I wish I had something very deep to say, but I knew I wanted some money and I wanted to make some. So as soon as I turned 15, I asked my mom to take me to get my employment card. It used to be a blue card you had to get. And once I got my card, I was on a roll. I was doing summer youth programs. And one of my favorite was I was working in a teaching hospital. And at the time, they had us in the darkest, dusty room. And we were converting paper medical records to the digital system. Sounds very odd now in 2025, but we were taking all the medical files, and that was the job of the high school students. And I had the pleasure, there was a woman at the time who was on maternity leave. And one of our managers busted in the door and was like, which one of you kids know how to type? And I raised my hand because, I was very proficient in AOL. And so I
AOL.
said, I know how to type. And they brought me in the room. And from that day on, it really taught me the lesson to, like, when a door opens, walk through it, because I no longer had to be in that dusty room. I was in the AC office for the rest of the summer. I'm doing data entry. And then it was a sweet gig. All of my high school friends used to be like, how come she's in there? And I really enjoyed it, but it did open me up to, like, you can get from one place to the other with this little thing called opportunity and just taking it.
Yes.
And so
When a door opens, walk through it. It's funny. My daughter had a job a couple years ago. She was making more money than most of the kids. And she said a couple of them said, well, how did you get that? She said, I asked for it. And they were like, oh, you just asked for it?
mm-hmm,
She said, yes. Well, mom told her, what's the range? What they tell you the range was? Well, then you
mm-hmm.
go for the top of the range. And everybody else just kind of took it, right? When that door opens, walk through it. Absolutely love it. Okay. So that was way back
Yep,
when you
that's
were in high
way
school.
back.
Okay, let's say. Now you graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I neglected to say in the beginning is that you have done everything from insurance underwriting to military to now being in mortgages and operations, right?
Yes.
Where did it start when you graduated high school? Where did it start?
It always stayed kind of leadership wise. I was in that underwriting area, but I didn't really hit mortgages until I got out of the military. And that's when it was time for civilian life. We moved to Michigan.
Hold on. Let's go back. What took you to the military?
Oh, look at you. What took me to the military, you were going to laugh. I have like the most oddest stories sometimes, but I was walking through Times Square and I had a temp job doing the insurance underwriting. And I loved it, and it was nice, and it was my first time in private sector, and I didn't know, like, oh, these people got money in private sector. Like, I used to get nice little envelopes, and I was taken care of, but I was still a temp, and I felt like I had no security. And as you're starting to get older and get into your adult life, the temp stuff don't feel as cute anymore. Like, I want benefits. I want something that feels like I'm building to get to something larger versus I'm like in this consistent state of like transferring from job to job to job.
Yeah.
And so I was in Times Square and I was walking around. And at the time, the recruiting station, and it still is right in the middle of Times Square. And it was be a part of something bigger. I was like, I want to be a part of something bigger. Like, I'm looking for something bigger. And I walked in the door and legit, it was Marines, Army. I think it was a Coast Guard guy in there. And they all were very attentive to me. They all were like, hey, like, how can we help you? How can we help you? And it was just one guy and I feel so bad for saying this because I love my Air Force family, but the Air Force recruit, he was just chilling. He was like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, you, Mr. who seems to not be interested in me, like, tell me about this Air Force thing. And he said, have a seat. And he just started talking to me about what my desire was. And at the time, I knew I wanted to do something business related, or I was also teetering with law. Okay. And so he's like, well, we got this great paralegal program, and you could do these things in the military, and you could still have your same civilian career in the military, and it transfers over. And I'm like, sign me up. I legit signed up that day. My mom wasn't the hugest fan. But she's always been supportive, and she's always been the type of person to say, you follow your path because I don't know where the Lord is telling you to go. Nor am I going to step in the way of that. So I'll be there to support you, but you do what you think is best. And that is legit how I got to the Air Force, walking in Times Square and walking my behind into the recruiting office and was like, I'm tired of being a temp. I need benefits.
I love it. Usually when you hear Times Square stories, it is like either looking at now they're digital billboards in Times Square, right? Or you're hearing about New Year's Eve celebrations or, I don't know, something like that. Hey, I was walking through Times Square and I decided to join the Air Force. How long were you in the Air Force?
I was in the Air Force for a little under 4 years. And then when I had my baby, you get the lovely option of, hey, you want to kick it with us or you want to leave? And I was like, I think I'm gonna just take my baby and leave.
Okay.
Because I stopped being it. Like my whole mindset changed when I had Brooklyn. I was just excited about tax-free money, buying shoes, and having benefits. And then when I had my baby, this weird thing called perspective came into play, and I'm like, no, my baby comes first.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Every time. It's interesting, and that's a whole nother podcast. Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Thank
But second of all, a whole nother podcast. People tell you when you have a baby that you're instantly going to fall in love with that baby and all of that. Well, I don't know everybody else's experience, right? But what I can tell you is when you have a baby, what instantly changes is perspective. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if there's a gushing of love, and maybe it was for other people. Mine kind of grew, and then all of a sudden the baby would smile at me, and I would just fall in love. But there is definitely an instant change
Mm-hmm.
of perspective, like the moment that baby is born, right? So, okay, you leave the service, now you got a baby, perspective has changed, and you come into the civilian workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what that looks like and were there obstacles that you came up against?
Oh, it sure was. It was terrifying. Because
Why?
Erica, let me tell you, she thought she had it all figured out, and life told me you do not. So in my mind, at the time, I had college experience. I was a little bit away from my bachelor's, but I had my associates, and I'm like, I worked all these jobs in my life. I have all these skills. I'll get to Michigan. We'll move. I'll find a job in about 2, 3 months. We'll be good to go. Wrong. I could not find a job to save my life. And when I mean to tell you, I applied everywhere. It got to the point, you reach a moment where you're applying to where you think you should be by your
Mhm.
skills. And then as the days and the months go by, you're like, listen, just give me something.
I just
I
want a
just
paycheck.
I just need a check. Okay. Remember that kid I told you about? Like she gotta eat and she's eating more now.
Right.
And so literally it was hard for me to find something. And then I never thought I was the type of person that identified myself by the military because I joined later in life. Like I was already like out of school. I had some of my 20s being outside of the military. So in my mind, I felt like I didn't attach it as my identity, but very quickly you realize that you do.
Mm,
Because I had a moment of feeling like what am I? Like what do I do now? Like I'm not doing what I've been doing for the past years. I don't have the rank that I have. Nobody cares what my rank is. Nobody cares what's going on out here. Like, what do I do? And so it was very terrifying. It was very challenging because I almost felt like I was taking a step back and
okay.
didn't know how to kickstart myself back forward.
Mm. So for all of the people out there that felt like they were taking a step back and didn't know how to go forward, Erica is the example of someone who can. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and I'm going to tell you the name. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to tell you the name. And more importantly than the name, it's called Mind, Body, and Business. And
Mm,
the host, her name is Maria, but she said something in that podcast. She said um, she needed to let go of not mattering. And that is what I hear in
mm-hmm,
you in that moment. You're like, who am I? Do I matter? Right? And I think oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but sometimes we come up against that. We come up against, do I matter? Who am I despite this thing? Right?
mm-hmm,
Kids grow up and they go off to school or they're to work or to the service or whatever, right? They're doing their life. And as a mom, you are like, who am I now?
mm-hmm,
Or you move from the service into civilian life and you're like, who am I? Do I matter? I can tell you for myself, leaving a really great career just recently, you start to feel like, do I matter outside of that space? So there's someone listening who probably is feeling like, do I matter? What would you say to that person?
I would say you absolutely do. And I would say pave your way. Like pave your way. Like sometimes we can't see what the finish line is, but there's one there, or there's something else on the other side of that challenge. Like, but we don't see it at the time. And I had to just really like lean into trusting that what I had in me, whether I was in the military or outside the military, is in me. Like if it's in you, it's in you. And it will show up. And I have to trust me and I have to believe in me. Like, girl, you showed up when you went to the military. You showed up when you were in high school and doing things and leading. Like you show up, but where you show up might be different, but you're still you.
You
And so,
showed up in Times Square when you were like, "Hey, you ain't paying me enough attention. Look here.
hello,
Who are
hello,
you?"
hello. Like, trust you, trust that you are enough. And I know it sounds like so cliche, but it's true. Like, you are enough. And I wish I could give credit to where I seen this from, but I seen something that really resonated with me. And it said, no one can do you like you. And when
Mm,
I realized that, like, it's almost like a superpower because, yeah, we do see people to the left and the right, but the reality of it is nobody could do Dr. Stone like Dr. Stone. Nobody
no.
could do Erica Shark like Erica Shark. And when you realize that your individuality is your superpower, at that point, you just lean into it and you
Yeah.
grow it and you feed it and you water it. Like, but it gives you a different perspective because now, like, you're the commodity, not where
Yeah.
you're at.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so I took us off track a little bit, but we'll get back on track. So you leave the service, you're applying for these jobs, you can't get one. Then what happens?
I finally found one, and we're not going to call them out. It's a lovely telephone company. Um, and I also got introduced without taking us down a rabbit hole to unions because don't laugh at me. I was a New York City girl. I've never been in any union. So now, for the first time in my adult life, I'm at a union job. I'm so confused. I'm like, why are these people taking my money? And things are different. Now I'm learning and I'm learning the purpose and the value along that time in my life too. But it was also a lot of
And at
tape.
that point, I'm sorry, you're in Michigan, right?
Yes. So at this point, this is the first job in Michigan. Miss,
Where unions are prevalent
yes.
everywhere. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's new to you. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So this is the first job. And first, I'm just grateful. I'm like, regardless of what's going on, I am grateful. We are going to figure this out. And I did. You know, I had so many
Mhm.
people that were like, "Are you serious, girl? You never heard of it?" I'm like, they educated me. I got on track and started that position. And for lack of better words, it was just not fulfilling. And there was a lot of instability. Like the schedule would change every week. And as you guys could probably imagine, when you have a child, that's not the most ideal. Like hours would change every week, schedules would change every week. And at the same time, I'm still going to school. And so it was just conflicting. And so
How
I
did you
started,
manage all of that? New
prayer.
baby, work. Right. New baby, work, school. Like how are you juggling
Honestly, when I look back at it, sometimes I'm like, I don't know how. I feel like you just do. Like you just realize like you have to. And I know we had a conversation about this too. Like you just realize like you do it. And you look back and you're like, man, how did I do that? But you don't leave yourself an option. Like, somebody got to do it.
that?
And you know, I did have family. I will say that. Like my mom, she's the type of person to where I could be on the other side of the world and she'll be there in a snap. And so if it was ever a bind or summertime or things like that, she would come to assist, help me out wherever she can. So there was a village. Definitely didn't do it alone, but it was also like keeping that bigger picture in mind that like it's tough right now, but I have faith that this is going to land in something. I just got to get through this. Like it will get better.
Okay. So you're at the telephone company that shall be unnamed. And then and then what happened?
So then I'm like, unnamed telephone company, I can't do this no more. And so I start Googling and I literally Google before I would just search jobs and I would search by pay or fields because my degree was going into business management, human resources. And I decided to do something just out of the blue and I Google happiest places to work in Michigan.
Mm,
And when I Google, I'm like, I want to get paid, but I want to be happy too. Like I got the pay, but I'm not happy. So maybe let's switch the prayer. Like let's switch for something to where I could get the pay and be happy. And that landed me to unnamed mortgage company.
yeah.
Um, and I was happy. Like from the minute I walked in the door, like the music was bumping, the colors was bright, and I was just like, this is better. Like day one, I didn't know what it was gonna be, but I knew it was better than where I was.
Now I happen to know the answer to this question, but our audience does not. When you went to unnamed mortgage company. What was your position?
I was an intern. And I like to affectionately call myself the 30-year-old intern too, because I just wanted to get my foot in the door, foot, pinky toe, big toe. Like it was an intern position available. And they told me the recruiter at the time was such a blessing because initially I was trying to get into banking. And we had the longest interview that honestly I forgot was an interview. We were just having a conversation, just like how we are now. And he told me, we'll never forget his name, Avery. Said, Erica, what do you think about going into like client facing and speaking with clients? But it's an intern role. And I'm like, it sounds like you're offering me a job. So I think it sounds great. Um, and that is how I got in there. I started as an intern.
I love it. I love it. And then worked your way all the way up the ladder to an executive role.
Yes.
So I I think it's important that what we pick from that is that you chose to be happy over title, over money, over position, over any other thing that we're typically searching for
Mm-hmm.
when we go get a job. I got this degree, so I got to do this. I need to have this title. I need to have this. One of the things that I probably said this to you, but I say to people all the time: if you're chasing a title, you're gonna be chasing forever. You like that is not
Mm-hmm.
what you need to be chasing. You need to be looking to continue to build your skill set and be of value, right? And then you need to
Mm-hmm.
find places where you're fulfilled and where you're happy. And you did that. And I asked you before we started this interview, like, what is one of the biggest lessons you learned? And you said you learned not to be quiet. Now, you've already talked about walking through open doors, but you said you learned not to be quiet and to use your voice. Where did you learn that on that amazing journey, which, by the way, is just fascinating to me? Every time I talk to you, find out something else. Like I didn't know the Times Square story, right? Uh, on that fascinating journey, where did you learn to use your voice?
When I finally got frustrated, so it took a while. It wasn't right away. Like when I first got in, it was pretty easy, like just do the job. Here goes the job, you do it. And I'm like, all right, I can do that. I can follow instructions. But then, us being who we are,
Mhm.
you have opinions, you have thoughts, you have things you want to share, you want to grow. And as I was going on that journey, I felt like I was getting silenced a lot. Like I felt like not by all, but I felt like no one was listening. And the prime example that I give you is I was in a meeting and I was talking about something. I'm like, hey, I think we should do this, like this scenario. This is the direction that I think we should go in. And the gentleman at the time told me, yeah, that sounds good, but I think we should go in this direction. And it was exactly what I said. It was exactly what I said. In the same words that I said it. And a room full of heads started nodding, like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I was upset for lack of better words. And I didn't say anything. And that night I was home and I was going, the whole house knew about what was going on. I'm like, I tell you, and I slept on it and I came in the next day and I was salty and I was still mad and it happened again. And I don't know what type of sun hit my eye and knocked me off that horse, but I saw the light and I was like, I'm tired of this. Like it's happening because you're allowing it to happen. And you have to speak up. But I think a challenge that I faced was I was giving myself like walls. And one in particular was not wanting to be that angry black female.
Yes.
And I was creating this wall and creating this narrative and putting it on myself and silencing myself. Like I can't even blame the others. Like I was being quiet because something that I was afraid to be perceived as. And it wasn't serving me because nobody was still listening to me. Like nobody heard me. It wasn't serving me. And so that's where I just said I have to find a way to get out of this because I don't like this space. I don't like how it feels. Like,
Yes, I have to. You know, just recently, someone told me, like, hey, you need to scale back on your LinkedIn. Less is more. Like, you're extremely opinionated. And I said, oh, so I took a step back. And for a few days, like, I didn't make posts. And then I came to the same conclusion you did. Like, no, I will not be silent.
mm-hmm,
My opinion is my opinion. And if you don't like it, scroll past it or we don't have to connect or whatever. I'm not rude. I'm not disrespectful. I'm not doing any of the things, but I have a right to talk
Mm-hmm.
about what I am passionate about. And it is, you can accept it or you don't have to. You can move on. It's fine. I'm still going to say it. So
Mm-hmm.
for the people listening who maybe, because as a Black woman, I cannot imagine that any Black woman who has spent any time in any workspace, corporate, government, uh, academia, nonprofit, any of that. I can't imagine that any Black woman in any of those spaces at some point has not felt unheard, unseen, uh, silent.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to her?
Speak up. Speak up and bet on you. And where you feel unsure, if you have a safe space, reach out to it. I was blessed to have so many safe spaces. I was blessed to have so much community, right? You're a part of my community. Blaze Pickett is part of my community. Kristen Bryland is part of my community. Like I've had so many people that are part of my community that have given me advice. So if you find that, lean into it if you do find that safe space and be vulnerable and ask for the help. Because that was something that I did. Like, how do I say what I have to say, but not come off this way? And I would get tips and I would get ways to frame things. For example, frame things as a question, right? Like, okay, it might not make sense, but instead of saying that doesn't make sense, maybe I'll rephrase that and go, well, can you explain to me why you feel this way? Or can you break down the reasons? I know you do that so well. Like, can you break down the reasons and you're still getting across what you have to get across, but in a different way? So I would say reach out to help. And if you don't have a safe space, it's this weird thing called the internet.
Right.
I would go on it. I would look for tips on like, hey, how do I say this in a different way? Or hey, how do I go about that? And then when you do, get feedback. Get feedback on, hey, did that land? Hey, did you get what I was trying to say? Or hey, how can I say this differently? So I would say community. And if you're in a space where you don't have community, look it up. Look it up, research, or find spaces like this. Find podcasts like this. Find spaces where there is community. It might not be in your workplace and in your ecosystem, but it's out here, and tap into those.
Yes, baby, YouTube University got everything
You know it.
you ever want to learn out there, right? I laughed when you were talking because there, I'm good for just phrasing things as a question.
Mm-hmm.
Ask people questions, they tend to stop to answer your question. And one day I said to someone, "Well, help me understand." And she said, "Uh-oh." I said, "Well, what?" She was like, "That means you don't agree with me." And I was like, "What? Who told you that?" And she was like, "I just been watching you." I'm like, "It's not that I don't agree, but I need your attention."
Mm-hmm.
And the question helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I love all of that. And I love community, right? Community is so important. We, I think, sometimes get so caught up in this wearing the cape, as I say, like we can do all the things that we forget to put that cape down and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I need some help." So ask for help where you can. Absolutely amazing advice. So, Erica, you're doing amazing things right now. You've always done amazing things.
Thank
Tell
you.
me, can you tell us? Is there anything coming up next for Erica, or are you just evolving where you are, which is also just an amazing thing? Like, what's next for you?
So what's next for Erica is I am in this phase of my life that feels so good. I know we were talking about it a little bit, branding. And so talking about like who I am, right? Because I went from one area and had that moment of feeling like who am I? And I felt myself getting into another area and losing a little bit of who I am. Like what do I bring to the table? And so part of that is in rebranding and getting in contact with what fills my cup. So what fills my cup is still a lot of what I do, helping people, developing people, achieving goals. I love it. Knock a goal out the park gives me a little high. Like so that's still part of me, but something that also has been on my mind when I was that little girl in that office. And the recruiter was telling me about paralegal was the legal journey. So that is up next for me. A lovely thing called the LSAT on the table, August 11th. Oh, no, August 11th, April 11th. Let's
Oh,
get that
wow.
together sooner than later. Yeah. So that's coming up. And what I want to do with that, I'm not quite sure if I want to stay mortgage industry, but I do know in some capacity I want to help,
Yes.
whether that be growing, whether that be mentoring. I want to utilize my skill set and my knowledge. And as I start getting these badges, I want to impart that on somebody else. And so I'm going to do what I always was curious about doing and just jump in see what this law thing is about.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You don't have to know what's after that. Just take one step, right?
Yep.
It'll come. I know. So this episode will air after you have taken the LSAT. So we're gonna go ahead and say congratulations on attaining what you need to attain.
Thank
Whatever
you.
score you need to attain, it is already done, right? You don't have to know what's next. People just ask me all the time, "What you gonna do with that doctorate degree?" I don't know,
We'll
but
see.
I want one, right?
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out later. I want to help, right? So I love that. I love that. I love that you want to help. That's what it's all about.
Hmm.
It doesn't do us any good to blaze new trails if we don't tell other folks where the trails are and lead them down those trails, right?
You know
We
it.
have to be here to help those coming in the generations behind us. So I love that. So two more questions for you because I know you got to get back to it. Is there anything you wanna share with the audience that I have not asked you today?
The biggest thing I could say is don't be afraid. And I got this from you as well. Like just to write
Mm,
out like your thoughts and what you want to do. Even if you're writing out your challenges, like even in this tech age, there's something and a beauty to me about just sitting down with a pen and paper and finding a quiet spot and figuring out what you want to do. And I've learned so much from you when it comes to planning and strategically
mm,
planning your goals. Plug, make sure y'all get with Dr. Stone because she'll help you get there. Like,
thank you.
there's nothing wrong with like sitting down and just like mapping it out and being like, I don't have it all figured out, but let's write it out and let's figure out what's going on. And don't be afraid to get a coach.
Yeah,
The best athletes have a coach. And when I had the pleasure of being in the organization that I am in now and getting an executive coach, it made me realize just how much that is of like an alley oop and a boost. And so do not be afraid to get a coach because sometimes you need help. And yes, you're a star player, but you need someone sometimes in the gym that can develop you, give you drills, give you tactics. Like those things apply in the business world too. Those things apply in other fields where you need that warm up and how you get better and reach that peak performance. So the biggest thing I would say is express what you want to do. Don't be shy about it. Have your voice and get a coach. Get a coach.
I love it. Peak performance. I gotta play with that for a minute.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely love that. Okay, so one last question for you that I'd like to ask, everybody because it's just so interesting to me, and yours should be extremely fascinating. Let's say get a major movie deal, and they say, "Erica, we are going to make a movie of your life. We want to make an Erica Shark movie. What will be the name of it? And if you know, who would play Erica?"
Oh, ooh, interesting. Let's see. Well, because in my mind, I feel like it needs to be someone that wins an award. It would be Viola Davis.
Yes.
Yes, and because there's gonna be points where I gotta cry, and she gives you
Yeah,
that good cry, and when I'm going through it, when you hit them rough
yeah,
parts, I need someone that really make you feel it. So
yeah.
I would say Viola Davis would play me, and if I had to come up with a movie title, it might just be The Life and Times of Miss Shark.
The life and times of Miss Shark. I love it. Nothing clarifies like clarity. The life and times of Erica Shark. I love it.
It's been
Well,
a life.
Erica, yeah, you got so much more to live.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So again, many blessings to you on that LSAT. I know you're going to do amazing things with that. And it doesn't necessarily mean, I just had this conversation with my son. It doesn't necessarily mean that you got to go to law school or leave where you are or anything like that. It is a goal that you set for yourself, and it will
Mhm.
be another skill set that helps you develop other people and bring other people along on this journey. So, thank you so much for being here with us today. I have had an amazing time. I know our viewers have. And so we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Erica, for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, that's it for today. So until next time, keep spreading that black girl magic on everything you do. See you again.